Presented by Listen Headlines. Latest financial news from trusted sources.
New York Times Business. September 14. 717 America New York, UK job vacancies break a record. There are more than 1 million job vacancies in Britain, and the number of employees on payroll has returned to its pre-pandemic size, serving customers at a restaurant in London in August. New York Times Business. September 14. 7:15 America New York, what to expect from Gary Gensler's testimony. After 5 months on the job, the SEC chair will speak before the Senate Banking Committee about crypto, climate, SPACs and more. Gary Gensler is pushing for greater transparency, among many other things.
Daily FX Market News. September 14. 7 o'clock America New York, Brent crude outlook, higher oil prices, Hurricane Nicholas and AMP, OPEC revises demand forecast. Crude oil reaches a 6-week high as Hurricane Nicholas compounds Gulf Coast production woes left by Hurricane Ida.
Wall Street Journal Markets. September 14. 7 o'clock America New York, Apple, Google could still win from App Store loss. User friction, developer marketing needs could offset loss of payment exclusivity. Wall Street Journal Markets. September 14. 6:52 America New York, Paytm blazed a trail in Indian fintech but faces crowded market as IPO nears. The $2.2 billion listing will see the company beat China's Ant to the public markets, but it isn't the dominant player in payments that it wanted to become.
Wall Street Journal U.S. Business. September 14. 6:52 America New York, Paytm blazed a trail in Indian fintech but faces crowded market as IPO nears. The $2.2 billion listing will see the company beat China's Ant to the public markets, but it isn't the dominant player in payments that it wanted to become.
Wall Street Journal Markets. September 14. 6:48 America New York, Oracle, Apple, Lucid. What to watch when the stock market opens today. U.S. stock futures edged higher ahead of fresh inflation data.
Wall Street Journal U.S. Business. September 14. 6:47 America New York, Chevron to triple low-carbon investment. The oil giant plans to spend $10 billion through 2028 on technologies such as biofuels and hydrogen, up from a prior commitment of around $3 billion.
Wall Street Journal Markets. September 14. 6:47 America New York, Chevron to triple low-carbon investment. The oil giant plans to spend $10 billion through 2028 on technologies such as biofuels and hydrogen. Wall Street Journal Markets. September 14. 6:46 America New York, Chinese audio platform to list in Hong Kong after scrapping U.S. IPO plans. The owner of a podcast and audio platform in China filed for an initial public offering in Hong Kong shortly after scrapping plans to list in New York.
Wall Street Journal U.S. Business. September 14. 6:43 America New York, Amazon adding 125,000 workers, opening dozens of facilities. The technology giant is preparing for the coming holiday shopping period, a time in which a tight labor market is set to make it more challenging to find staff.
Marginal Revolution. September 14. 6:35 America New York, Tuesday assorted links. 1. Mike Makowski good career advice for those economists, and others, coming out of non-elite schools. 2. Brian Kaplan on his homeschooling experience. 3. BBC covers EV India winner and his fight against air pollution.
Forex Live. September 14. 6:34 America New York, UK vaccine panel recommends COVID-19 booster program to be started. UK looks to kick-start program for booster shots ahead of winter.
Global Economy. September 14. 6:32 America New York, Taiwan's chances of joining Asia's trade pact are dwindling. Even with Japan's backing, the window of opportunity for Taipei to become a member of the CPTPP is closing.
New York Times Business. September 14. 6:21 America New York, UK job vacancies break a record. There are more than 1 million job vacancies in Britain, and the number of employees on payroll has returned to its pre-pandemic size, serving customers at a restaurant in London in August.
Naked Capitalism. September 14. 6:20 America New York, why the rich get richer and interest rates go down. A wrong-headed paper from the Jackson Hole Conference that depends on the loanable funds fallacy lets central bankers off the hook.
BBC News Business. September 14, 6:09 America, New York, Brexit. GB checks on goods imported from the EU delayed. The government blames COVID and supply chain difficulties as it puts back changes.
Forex Live. September 14, 6:02 America, New York. U.S. August NFIB Small Business Optimism Index 100.1 versus 99.0 expected. Latest data released by NFIB 14 September 2021 to 99.7, a slight bump in small business sentiment last month, which at least helps to provide some comfort that economic conditions are still holding up past the summer in the U.S.
Google Business News. September 14, 6:02 America, New York. Job creation. NDE gives 2,572 graduates employability opportunity. ZAWYA. Job creation. NDE gives 2,572 graduates employability opportunity. ZAWYA.
Wall Street Journal Markets. September 14, 6 o'clock America, New York. Gary Gensler plans to outline SEC agenda in Senate hearing. The Securities and Exchange Commission chairman will highlight investor protection and seek more resources for the agency.
Global economy. September 14, 6 o'clock America, New York. UK delays checks on EU goods until 2022. Pragmatic move to avoid more strain on supply chains pushes date back from October 1.
New York Times Business. September 14, 6 o'clock America, New York. For military families, VA loans are a lifeline, but with a catch. The mortgages have helped millions of soldiers buy homes, but they carry a mostly unfair stigma that has kept many families out of today's competitive market. This market is an absolute nightmare for military families, said Georgianne Hassel. Wall Street Journal U.S. Business. September 14, 5:52 America, New York. China Evergrande hires financial advisors as protests erupt at its offices. China Evergrande moved closer to a potential restructuring of its $89 billion debt burden by hiring outside advisors, while protests broke out at some of its offices.
Wall Street Journal Markets. September 14, 5:52 America, New York. China Evergrande hires financial advisors as protests erupt at its offices. China Evergrande moved closer to a potential restructuring of its $89 billion debt burden by hiring outside advisors, while protests broke out at some of its offices.